Hi, this is Pastor John. Today is Friday, May 15th, 2020. This is the next in our series, American Dystopia. And if you know anything about dystopian literature, you know that the reason I've talked about dystopia is how things have changed after a cataclysmic event and everything seems to be foreign and distracted and separated. In some of this literature, people are alone and scared and doing odd things. And here you'll notice, you might have noticed, perhaps, I'm wearing a fedora. And if we were to go back in time, say to the 1940s after World War II, the 40s and the 50s, you'll notice that in that time period, if you watch black and white movies during that time, almost all the men are wearing hats. In fact, in your house, it would be unlikely, middle class, neighborhood, whatever, if you had the normal house, you would have a hat rack by your door. And you would, of course, expect men to be wearing hats, and really you'd be expecting men to wear suits, even if you saw ball games in that period. You see all these fans in the stands that had suits and ties and hats on. And it was a very different culture. Sometimes we think that in those days things were better. But there's a proverb that addresses that very thing. You see, everybody's telling us we're going to get to the place where we'll have a new normal or a different situation, things will never be the same, so forth and so on. And you know, some of these things are true anyway. In fact, nobody is normal. Everybody's normal existence is different from day to day. My normal is different than somebody else's normal. My normal 10 years ago is different than my normal today. And you know, that whole concept is really rather bizarre. But sometimes we can get caught up in the idea that the past was better. You know, when I look around in this room in particular, you might notice this wood panel background on the walls. I don't think any of us really want to put that in our houses now. Is that because we think it's terrible or was terrible that these things were put up? No, this was all the style, I think, when this was probably put up in here. However, it dates it, and it reminds us that maybe not everything about the past was better. But there are those who like to think that everything was better in the past. Here's what Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes 7. He says, "Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this." I think there are those right now, and sometimes I might be one of them, who say, I just wish we could go back in the past and have it the way it was. And I might desire that. It might not be a bad desire. In fact, some of the things I long for and crave for might be good things. But the author here, Solomon, is reminding us if we fixate on the past and we idolize the past, in other words, we let our anger build up because things are different now and things are not the same, then we can get caught up in making an idol of things we had in the past. This is a great time for us to sit back and say, what things in my life have I been idolizing? What things perhaps need to go away? What things were good in my life that I should continue? You see, we're reminded in all of this, he says in verse 8, the verse before this, better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Sometimes we can get so proud that we think who we are, what we do, the things that we enjoy are the best things ever. And we get proud about it, and we think everybody else who thinks differently, experiences differently, or maybe different than us, is not as good or not important. But I think this is an excellent time to remind us, are things going to look different from here on out? Yeah. But they're different than they were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago. Imagine your ancestor 100 years ago looking at life today and thinking about what may be good or bad. We need to think about what's important. And what's important is that no matter what we focus on, the things that we have loved for a long period that are good, or the things we realize that now are not so good, that any of those things, we're pointing to Jesus Christ. We're pointing our faith in our walk with Him. Our walk is not to be comfortable in the ways of the past. Our walk should be in the way of the Lord, whatever that looks like and however it takes place, both now and in the days to come.